Advocate Nontsasa Memela has denied involvement in the decision to sell South African Airways Technical's ground power units.
She maintains that the decision to sell the 12 ground aircraft powering units was a board resolution. She was giving testimony before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry into allegations of corruption sitting in Parktown. Memela maintains she only got involved in the sale of the GPUs after the board resolution.
Her role was to negotiate the best price for the asset as per her superior's instructions. The 12 GPUs, which were purchased for 11 million rand, were sold in 2016 to JM Aviation for around 3 million rand. They were later sold to Swissport for 9 million rands. Let's get more on the story. We'll cross our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa in Parktown. A very good afternoon to Mbalenhle. So a big focus on GPUs today at the State Capture Inquiry. Tell us more.
Good afternoon, Nzinga. Yes, indeed, the State Capture Commission of Inquiry has turned its focus to the sale of GPUs. Now, this is a sale that happened around 2016. We understand that Nontsasa Memela, who is the head of procurement at SAAT Technical, has denied that this was a decision that she came up with. She says, in fact, this decision was a board resolution, and that the company had received an email proposing the sale of these GPU units from JM Aviation Director Vuyo Nzeku. She testified that after that proposal was submitted by this JM Aviation Director to then acting CEO, Arson Malola Piri, this decision was then taken to, the proposal was rather taken to the board, which then made the decision to sell these GPU units. She was then roped in to negotiate the best price for the actual asset, and she says that was her only involvement and that the decision was not entirely on her to sell these GPU units. She also explained to the commission that she couldn't go against the board, but hers was to follow instructions as they had been handed down by the then acting CEO. We understand that these GPU units were sold to JM Aviation, and just to correct the script, the GPU units were sold at 248,000 rand when they'd been initially bought by SAAT Technical for around 9 million rand, and the amount went up to 11 million rand because of it had to include shipping. So that is how much SAAT Technical ended up spending on these GPU units that was sold at next to nothing at 248 million rand. JM Aviation went on to sell these GPU units to Swissport, which is a Chinese company that is based in Switzerland for around 9 million rand. Now Swissport, we've learned that Swissport is now leasing those GPU units at around 450 and 550 rand per hour at SAAT Technical. Now, we don't know how much this costs essentially a year, but it also speaks to some of the allegations that came out during the SAA strike, where NUMSA and SACA were actually saying that the biggest drain to SAA's fiscus is the procurement spend. And I mean, hearing evidence relating to how large sums of money are going towards renting a unit that was initially owned by SAAT Technical and was actually sold at next to nothing is a big cause for concern. But later on today, we also expect to hear about who JM Aviation is. We've heard JM Aviation coming up in a number of testimonies, and this is not the first time we're hearing about JM Aviation. We've also heard about JM Aviation's involvement in a components contract which was awarded to AAR. We understand that JM Aviation was a BEE partner to AAR, but we'll hear more about JM Aviation when Vuyo Nzeku takes the stand a bit later on today. Nontsasa Memela, Advocate Nontsasa Memela, is expected to wrap up her testimony, and after the break, we expect to hear who finalized the final amount of 248 million rand. Rather, we understand that we've been hearing evidence evidence relating to an email that she is the only one who received the final offer from JM Aviation. And the question here is who then approved this amount of 248 million rand, given that she did not have the authority to approve this amount. For now, though, it's back to you in studio.
Mbalenhle Mthethwa giving us an update from the state capture inquiry into those ground power units or GPU. She'll be following that story and keeping us updated a little bit later on. Nompumelelo, it's over to you.